For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast is fueled by the Man Shake. I lost 30 kilos in 10 months using this meal replacement shake. If you want to support the show and Max and my weight loss journey, or to even start your own, click the link in the description below. The Man Shake. Real blokes, real results.
For the Players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast with over 40 years of playing PlayStation and 8+ years in that games media combined. I'd like to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, come and check out our socials. Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures where you can watch us record this show live. We can jump in the chat and you can become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. And if you want to support us financially, you can. Patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as our merchandise store, popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. Not that shirt, however. The one that Max is wearing, the For the Players one. Once again, we've received a beautiful DMCA takedown for that shirt. Not available. It happens when you straight borrow intellectual property. It is to be expected that it may get taken down.
We may have to rerun that intro. I totally wasn't recording.
I can pull it from...
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, you voted bumhole. Absolute bumhole. Max.
How are you this week?
I'm well. Your face is fluorescent.
Yeah. So, as Dash mentioned in the chat, I shaved my grizzle. Basically, what happened was...
So, on the back of last week being like, I'm going to grow my beard out. I have permission. And now I'm looking at the most moon-faced dude in the world.
Yeah, so basically what happened was COVID struck again. I had to wear a mask. I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. And I shaved it off Friday morning after 2 days of having to wear a mask.
Yeah. Beards are not fun. I'd said I've tried to grow one a couple of times and it's been... frustrating and uncomfortable. And like, this is about the best I'm going to get, whatever this bullshit on my face is. Because like, I just get frustrated. I get angry at it. And yeah, now we're wearing masks again. Hi, Lockdown 5. Fucking good to see you again. You know, it's just worse. It's actually worse. But like, yeah, I don't think as long as I've known you, I don't recall you ever being this smoothly shaven.
I'm not smooth. If you could feel this face, it is definitely not smooth.
But like, with the lights in your office, in your space, because you know, for those listening on the audio, it's lockdown. We're on digital spaces again. It just looks like sheen. It looks smooth.
I'm moisturized after the shower today,
right. And maybe that's why there's that sheen. It's getting that moisturizing sheen. But yes, as we've said like a couple times now, it is Lockdown 5, Tokyo Drift. It's fucked up. It's horrid, and I'm hating it already. I'm straight sick of it. But how are you going, Max? How are you going the latest lockdown again?
Well, this has been a week. So we recorded. Did we record Sunday last week?
It was Sunday because of wrestling that I should be at tonight. Fucking COVID.
So, after recording last Sunday, I got home and my child had woken up from her nap sick. Later that evening, we had to rush her to the hospital because she had a fever of over 40 degrees. So that was fun. And then I managed to get Tuesday and Wednesday off work because I had a sick child. I'm like, I need to be at home. I had to work the Monday night because my boss just didn't get any of my messages saying, I'm at the hospital. I'm not coming in. And I'm like, I better go in. He's definitely not got these. No one's doing my work if I don't go in. So, yeah, I had a pretty chill week. I found out Friday morning that I had been to a COVID outbreak site, so I had to go get tested for that Friday morning. I just got my results back 20 minutes ago saying that I am all clear. I got the big negative, so go me. And now I'm just living that good lockdown life. I mean, it was great. My wife had to go grocery shopping without me this morning because she just wanted to go grocery shopping this morning. And I'm like, well, I can't go. I'm technically housebound until I get my results back. So you'll have to fly solo. So I kind of got to just chill, which was nice. But it's been a week. It's the same as usual.
I know that like admittedly that is one of the best things where I'm like, oh, I have to go shopping by myself. See ya. I mean, because my son is an absolute fucking terror at the supermarket. Yeah. So I'm like, you can't come, buddy. And then I go in, and either my wife or I shop somewhere like shopping in peace, except for there not being anything.
Yeah. And like I had a pretty hectic last weekend, so being in lockdown this weekend gives me an excuse to not do anything.
Yeah. That's certainly true. But yeah, like I said, I'm still in the same boat. I'm still working. And so the rest of my week, the back end of my week was like, fuck, this is coming, isn't it? And then just getting somewhat prepared for the impending news. And then just making sure I had to essentially email all my 100 clients at some point. And there's phone calls, just prepping. But thankfully, it wasn't too brutal. A lot of my clients are like, yeah, man, no worries. So they're understandable about the whole lockdown processes.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, as I was supposed to be at the wrestling today, that didn't happen. So we're just back to the existing until we can go outside again.
You're one of the vast minority of the fully vaccinated people.
I am. I'm fully vaccinated. I'm still fucking stuck in my house.
You can't go flaunt your immunity in the wild. That's a shame.
I'm glad I went and did that because it seems really, really
worthwhile. Well, I'm off to get mine on Monday. Now that I've popped my negative, I can actually go to a doctor and get mine.
Man,
which would be nice. Start that process.
But even though we've just locked down, it's like repeated conversation. Let's get into the section where we talk about what we've been playing this week. Max, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So, I dove back into Plague Tale Innocence.
Mm.
Grinding away at that. Played the first couple of chapters. The game looks really, really nice on PlayStation 5. All the extra lighting effects that they've added in. The game looks stunning. Really nice. I've also been on and off between Rocket League. I've been playing a lot of Minecraft recently. And on Thursday night, just before lockdown struck, mid-season update for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
It's almost like they knew.
New zombies map.
How is it?
Yeah, it's actually really good. So they've gone back to their... this is a continuation of the story told in the first two zombies maps. So it's back to its round-based system where you're not changing locations like in the new Outbreak mode. So it's a proper level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's set in Berlin. And it's awesome. So it's very dense, and the map is very much divided in half by barriers. So to get past them, you have to go underground, dodge the trains that randomly come through the subway. They're like ghost flaming trains, very scary. The map's really dark. They've added a few new zombie types in, which is awesome. We got a new wonder weapon, which is ridiculously broken and overpowered. Like if you get this thing, it's almost impossible to die.
That sounds like my kind of weapon.
Had a few rounds of that. And we're just waiting to do the big overarching Easter egg story mission that comes with each new zombies map. Just trying to work out the best way to tackle that. So yeah, it's been fun. What about you? What have you been playing this week?
I know I've been talking about this key mailer website that we have access to, right? It's cool. It's a cool website. So we have a lot of independent developers on there where you can lodge yourself as a content creator and you can request codes. So I did. I was like, sure. I saw one that caught my attention. It was called In Rays of Light. It had this cool kind of like post-apocalyptic walking sim feel. And I was like, oh, I'll check this bastard out. It looks really cool. So that came through earlier in the week. I was been playing that on the PS5. And it's mad, actually. It's mad.
Yeah.
So it is very... Like it is very walking sim. There's not a whole lot to it. There's no combat. There's nothing, right? So you're essentially in this university building in Russia, because the gentleman that created it, I believe, is Russian as well. And you just kind of appear, and it's empty. It's run down. It has a lot of Last of Us sort of feel, right? So it's kind of, so then you sort of explore and you gain story throughout the world, like reading some notepads and things written on the wall, and you find some tools to get your way through doors and grab keys, and it's not a very long game. You can bang it out in probably like 2 hours, not even. But it had such a good sense of feel. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like the sounds were fantastic. Like the sound design was brilliant. Like as you're walking through areas and you can feel, so you can hear like crunches under your feet for glass and gravel and sand and like whatever you happen to wander across. It's brilliant, and it has this constant sense of like foreboding, because like you're seeing all these documents about everyone being pushed down into the bunker because there's bombing raids going on, and so it sounds like very like mid-war sort of situation. And throughout the game, as you're playing, there does get a moment where you start hear like those sirens, like some bombing raids coming. You look up in the sky and there's a bunch of planes heading over, and you've got to head down to the bunker, and then it kind of changes tone. So what was like a really quite nice walking sim as you're just engaging and taking in information and exploring, it gets not like full-blown horror-y, but it does get a little bit sensory, you know what I mean? Like in terms of like the lighting changes, the way presentation is overall kind of darker and grimmer, and it's relying on the torchlight that you have, or the light of the cigarette lighter that you have, and then it kind of has this interesting ending. It's not really, it's where it just kind of ties in with that whole narrative of that. I don't know. It's like I know I'm really good at like just straight up spoiling things in this, but so this is
really I've never noticed that.
I know, right? It's so I don't want to say it exactly, because this is technically a remake of an older game, like an older walking simulator experience. So it looks mint as shit, but like I guess because it's super old, it's not really that kind of spoilery. What do you reckon?
This is your call. I'm not going to be held accountable for your spoilerish actions.
All right, cool. Look, this is going to get out there. Like, there's there's scenarios where I get a real big Death Stranding vibe.
Okay.
In the way that you're looking at it, like the rock, when you look at it, it's like the rock and the destruction, and there's bodies floating, and it's like it really kind of sets this moment, and I kind of just go, damn, like you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of changes everything, and it gets you in a position of just, because even though I've been playing for like 2-ish hours, whatever, in order to get to roll credits on it, that I kind of forgot that the start of the game was so light and nice, because it's one of those things like once that bombing rain alarm kicks in.
What you're telling me is they pulled an M. Night Shyamalan twist on you halfway through the game.
A little bit, like it's not like a massive twist, but it was all light and nice. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm loving the energy of this. And then when those sirens kick in, I went, oh shit. And then by the end of it, I went, oh yeah, it was all fucking light and fluffy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And like sort of and then just gets real intense. It's absolutely fantastic. It's like $12 on the store. It is only like a 2-hour experience. It does have that sense of a very independent game, but it looks fantastic. I really, really got a kick out of it. Like, what sold me on it was the screenshots alone, and I'm so glad I experienced it. Like, it's not something I'm gonna remember probably in like 10 years from now, but at least right now, I was like, yeah, no, I'm glad I played that. That was really, very cool.
That's cool.
It's a great little experience. Additionally, I reinstalled Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, for some reason.
Ooh, great game.
Well, that's the thing, because I never finished it.
Oh, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Finish it.
So I've reinstalled it, and I started it again, because I couldn't tell you where I was up to. Because any sort of muscle memory I have about this game, or how to play it, how to do it, is just completely gone.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like stealth, jump into someone. Like right there, because I'm getting all the buttons are all janky for me, because I can't remember what they are. I'm trying to.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than when you're like trying to choke someone out and you just dive roll into their butt.
Well, that's what I did. I'm like stealth, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna tackle this. And I'm gonna choke him out, and I Roman Reigns edge speared him right through the guts, and he's like, hey, I'm like, oh no. So, but yeah, look, that game holds up something fierce. It still looks brilliant. Yeah. That game is stunning, and I'm just sort of getting all this feels, because it's the Kojima in this, man. Like the Kojima name's back out there again. The hype is real, especially about this, abandoned but not so abandoned thing. It's just, it got me a little bit excited, because I was also just debating about going back and finally finishing Red Dead 2. Because I only got
we had this discussion earlier this week.
Yeah, we did, because it was like, well, I got through like 4 of the 5 or 6 chapters or whatever it is, and I forget what I got distracted by.
Well, see, I suffer. I'm right at the end for it, but I suffered from that. Red Dead 2 is a prequel, not a sequel, and I'm like, well, I know how this ends, so I don't want to play it now.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's the case, but like,
and it was really frustrating because I was really enjoying my time with it. But I just couldn't get over that. I like basically spoiled myself going, well, I know how this ends. I can see how it's going to get there. Do I really need to play it out? And then I just never went back, which is a shame because the game was really good.
It was very, very good. And like, I think the only reason I stopped playing it, because I think, what came out around about the same time?
Didn't Death Stranding come out near Red Dead, or am I crazy?
No, that sounds about right. But yeah, that was in December. Red Dead came out in October. Something distracted me, and I didn't end up finishing it. I did give it a red hot go, but I do need to go back, and I will. I'll go back and I'll put.
Well, they apparently just dropped their PlayStation Plus requirement for online.
They did, and that's the thing. Like, I really didn't dive into the online for Red Dead as well.
I didn't like the online for Red Dead.
I'm curious to see what it is now.
Yeah. Just it was the thing for me. Like it. We played it for a while and it was humorous. Like, there's nothing funnier than like hog tying your mates and throwing them into the lake and watching them drown. But at some point, you're just like, it takes forever to get anywhere because you're either walking or riding a horse. Whereas I can jump in GTA Online and get in my flying car and be there in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, yeah.
Because I think they have heists now. I think the latest update kind of adds a little bit of that you can break and rob a place change.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Which is cool.
Do some like Fast and Furious action, tie the safe up to 4 horses and just gallop off into the sunset with the safe trailing behind you.
Yeah, like I don't know, but yeah, like I'm very tempted to go back, and I think I might actually.
Well, if you do, let me know and I'll re-download it.
Yeah, what are we doing tonight?
And I'll suss it.
Oh, tonight we're watching SmackDown, and I'm probably going to drink, so I probably.
Tonight I'm probably raiding in Destiny.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get back. I'm just gonna probably get drunk in this room like I have done every lockdown so far, and probably watch some wrestling.
Well, I just realized that I've got half a bottle of gin in my freezer ready to go, and I've got tonic water in the fridge, so I might
fucking party, get drunk, play
have
games.
A few.
Lizard Runner in the chat says online cargo runs were awesome PvPvE events. Well, that's the thing.
That's cool.
That's part of why I want to check it out. Like, it seems so different. Like, GTA is cool, and I love GTA Online. You and I have played a stack of it. You played way more than I have. But like, there's just something about Red Dead as an idea that seems so different to me, and it kind of seems intriguing from an online. I wish I'd spent more time with it when it launched, because I imagine if I go in, I'm just gonna get fucked up now, in the same as GTA. Like, it seems almost unbearable to start playing GTA Online for the first time now. Yeah. But from memory, that's all that I've played, I think. Yes.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I don't think I've noticed you playing anything when I'm online. So.
No, it's been a very quiet week from the gaming side of things, but it's been a semi-ish quietish week when it comes to the news. So this brings us to the next section we call Inform the Players. We tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation. But before we jump into that, speaking of this week in me, gross. No.
Whoa. Who's been getting in you this week?
you name it, right? So just put it out there, a little shout out. So I guested on episode 2 of Question Box.
Okay.
So Shane Bailey, a friend of ours, he's been follower of the show for a long time. He and we used to work together back when he worked within the business itself. He has since stepped out of it and started up his own content creation platform over at magic_casts. So if you like what I have to say, if you want to see me somewhere else, you can go check that out at YouTube and on your podcast services. We have an awesome chat about PlayStation and the other things that are going around in the industry. And I really enjoyed it because so he really tackled some of my perceptions, or like when he asked me questions about PlayStation, that just things that I hadn't considered, and I went, "Oh fuck!" And like I didn't have an answer, and I loved it because it put me on the spot in like the best way. Not that like my fanboyness got checked or anything, because that I don't really think I have that fanboyism, but it was just it was essentially a "Have you considered?" And I went, "I have not considered." Fuck. It was awesome. Go check it out. It's called the Question Box. It was awesome. All right, Max, you can talk about news now.
Well, let's kick things off with some Sony news, and let's talk about Jim Ryan's latest interview and his thoughts on the best games. So speaking in an interview with Chinese publication TMT Post, the PlayStation boss talks about how the company strives for top-notch titles, even if it means that they may take a little longer to make. The translations of his answers are a little rough.
Because Jim Ryan's answers are, in fact, rough.
No, that's not why. Obviously, some things can be lost in translation. But the translations of his answers give the rough gist of what he's saying. Quote, "Better to wait and have a great time than to rush and have a game that is okay or quite good." Ryan continues, quote, "Players only remember the best games rather than the okay games. If it's a best game, players may want a sequel and they will also want to buy a sequel, but no one really cares about a game that's only okay." He concludes that Sony won't settle for less than, quote, "We want the best." He cites Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart as an example, a game he's been playing recently.
Has he?
And Ryan's definition of the best game is one which can, quote, "can arouse certain emotions of the players, such as making the player feel excited, feel the adrenaline rush, or feel happy or sad." Yeah, he just wants you to feel things.
Just feel things, all right?
He just feel things.
Feel the most basic of emotions. Happy, sad. That's it.
Get excited, get happy, get sad.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you can do, according to Jim Ryan. Look, I appreciate the sentiment. He's essentially doing a shittier version of, a delayed game is always better. Because to me, this is, I think this is
I mean, the big question is, did he butcher the quote more than I did that one time?
Potentially.
To paraphrase poorly, insert quote.
Look, I think to me, this kind of adds a bit more. I think I'm reading between the lines here, accurately or inaccurately. I think this is adding to why they're so quiet right now. Because, as I said, they are uncertain on what the future holds. They don't want to deliver. They want to deliver only the best. So they're not going to stand here and say the Horizon's this, God of War is this, when they cannot verify that right now.
Yeah.
And I think that is smart, but I am also wary that if they continue to remain as silent as they are and or have been, then it's going to be a massive detriment. And I just don't like Jim Ryan talking, personally. Like it just doesn't seem to land, and even through a translator, he sounds horrid.
Well, speaking of Sony and their silence, it sounds like Sony is skipping Gamescom. So surprising no one, Sony is seemingly skipping Gamescom next month, which is Again, not surprising after skipping E3 earlier this year. This year's Gamescom will be a digital event, and organisers have already claimed that a bunch of partners have already signed up, including Bandai Namco, Activision, Xbox, EA, Sega, and Ubisoft. No Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Look, as you said, this does in fact make a lot of sense. Sony haven't really been at any conference any time in the last year and a half, if not slightly longer. Actually longer, yeah. I didn't see that changing with Gamescom, because Gamescom itself is, as you mentioned, is becoming a digital event again, and it's that longer narrative. Why attend a digital event when you can do it your own? And with the rumor mill that they have something lined up in August. Why not hold it for your own stuff? What do you think?
That's it. No, very much the same. If they were going to do something online, it makes sense for them to just put out another state of play or do their own thing. And then their messaging isn't as, not that I would say that it would get lost, but it's not as lost in the rest of the stuff. Because it's just them focusing on what they want to focus on. It's not you've got a clip spliced in between a Ubisoft game and an EA game, or you're not showing off God of War after Activision comes out with their game and all that.
But I would even debate like
focused.
I would even debate that their idea is like, oh, they're only telling you what they want to tell you. Like, I look at the last state of play.
But that's what every company does. They're not going to show you what they don't want to show you.
Well, yeah, of course. But I mean that in terms of the last state of play, I'm like, none of that felt like that they really wanted to do that show. You know what I'm saying? They're like, it's Deathloop and it's some other things. I guess we have to do something. Like, that's what it felt like to me. And this August one, which, as the rumor mill on Twitter at least has been like, oh, it's going to show this, it's going to show that, it's going to show this. Because once again, as I discussed in the question box with Shane was, I'm cynical to the future of PlayStation. I'm cynical to the future in general, right? But PlayStation specifically, I don't have a lot of hope. I don't have a lot of excitement for whatever this August show is, because if using last year as an example, right? How long did we spend in last year being like, they're going to talk PS5, they're going to talk PS5, and then they didn't, and then they didn't, and then they didn't, and then they didn't, and then they didn't. And eventually they did, and we're all like, yeah. And I think that could happen this year. Like, maybe we're going to get to, maybe this August showcase is the one that will show off what's coming in the next year. It'll provide what we refer to it as the clarity. It'll provide that clarity in the upcoming year. And because it's not even about them needing to do their own thing to steal the show, because as we saw last week, that wasn't a show-stealing state of play.
No, not at all.
And they're like, we held... Like, they could have done that at E3. They could have done that with somebody else, but they made the choice not to, for whatever reason. I kind of think it might have been a silly reason, because I think if you buried that in a bigger conference, it wouldn't have reflected so poorly.
It wouldn't have been as noticeable that it was a sub, that it could have been portrayed as
Agree. Yeah, spot on. I think if you get stuck in the forest, no one's going to see the trees,
Yeah.
And then it just kind of becomes the bigger announcement over the time instead.
And last up, Phil Spencer speaks about how much he loves the DualSense controller. So this isn't the first time that Spencer has complimented Sony's work on their new DualSense controller, but during a recent Kinda Funny Gamescast, Spencer teased it may follow their lead. Quote, "We're definitely thinking about different kinds of devices that can bring more games to more places," he said, as reported by VGC. Quote, "There's probably some work that we'll do on the controller. I think Sony's done a nice job with their controller, and we kind of look at some of that and think there are things that we should go and do," end quote.
That's good. That's great, because I think the DualSense, what the DualSense can offer is fantastic, and
I think this is good for PlayStation fans too, because it means that if both of the big consoles have the same features in their controllers, we're going to see it crossed over in more third-party titles and not just the first parties.
But what I part of me wonders whether they're like, I really appreciate that Phil Spencer's coming out and doing his thing and being like, yeah, man, we fucking love what they've done. You would never hear Sony say that. Never.
No.
Never. And I thoroughly respect that. But yeah, as you know, we'll talk the Xbox controller. It had its own adaptive triggers, what they called impulse triggers at the time, right? The only thing that they'll need is haptic feedback, and I think that is great because haptic feedback is awesome. And I think, Microsoft and Xbox titles will benefit from that haptic feedback. But other than that, there's really no major differentiator between the controllers. They're not looking at that going, ooh, now that there's a DualSense, we should probably get a massive touchscreen on our controller. I doubt that.
No, I also doubt that. But if it means that a lot more titles will integrate adaptive triggers and stuff like that, I think it's a win for both teams.
Yeah, no, I agree. Did you use the old Xbox controller? Because the impulse triggers from memory were just vibrating. I don't think they had the tension. Did they?
I don't recall.
Me either. That's all right. Moving on. So Max, now it's my turn, and I'm just going to throw a bunch of rumors at you.
That sounds about right.
I don't want to hear.
Typical Ryan.
That's typical Ryan.
Spoilers and rumors.
Spoilers and tinfoil hats is what I'm good at. Netflix is getting into the game space. So Netflix appears poised to enter the gaming arena after it announced earlier this week that it had hired ex-EA executive Mike Verdu to lead its expansion into the lucrative sector. While this could potentially be considered yet another headache for market leader PlayStation, it's possible Sony could also see an opportunity here. And if images data mined from the streaming services app are to be believed, a potential partnership could be afoot. According to data miner Steve Mosier, there are already video game references within the Netflix app source code, including a logo for a service called Endgame, as well as assets for a couple of unbranded DualSense controllers and Ghost of Tsushima's artwork. Sony, after all, is already in bed with Netflix, having signed a multi-year US licensing agreement which will see Sony Pictures Entertainment movies like the Uncharted film come first to the streaming service following the theatrical and home entertainment release windows. Max, what is your thoughts on Netflix but games?
Obviously, this is heavily rumored. If there is a partnership forming from Netflix and Sony, I still don't think it has it in them to compete with that Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah. So,
it's obviously still very early in its conception. If they're only just hiring an EA executive. But what is it going to be? Is it an additional cost to our Netflix subscription?
Apparently not. Apparently not. There was a statement around it somewhere that said it wouldn't be an additional cost.
And then obviously it's stuck in that what initially was PlayStation Now setting of you have to stream these games.
Yeah.
Which means it's probably not coming to Australia.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the one big win that Games Pass has over a lot of the other services is that you can download that title while it's on the service.
Yeah,
which allows you to play it as it is.
Bingo. And most people, when they're watching Netflix, they're either using a console itself or they're running it through their TV's app. And TVs don't have the level of storage capable to install games on. It's not possible. And for me, this hits a couple of points of concern, I guess. One of them being, are they working with partners? Are they creating their own version of a Netflix for games, but taking the fucking Game Pass moniker? Or are they creating their own games based on their own IP, right? So Netflix does have a string of IP that they have through their TV shows and their movies, the likes of Stranger Things, and I think Queer Eye's a Netflix thing now. And, there's was it 13 Reasons Why? Let's play that game. Woohoo. We can, assault someone with a broomstick. So, I do look at that going, okay, is their IP strong enough to run their own platform at a game perspective? Probably not. And if they are, I'd imagine they'd be relatively simple and maybe not quite phone-designed games, but they're not going to be 50-hour RPGs. It's not happening.
No.
And even then, are they willing to know that it's going to take 4 years to make something of quality, right? So, looking at
Because that's the thing. Like, they're running out of partners because you look at some of the big developers and stuff. They have their own systems now.
Yeah.
Like Ubisoft's got whatever they've got. We've got EA Play coming out of Electronic Arts. Microsoft's obviously got their Games Pass. Sony's got PlayStation Now. Like, there's so many already existing in the space. At what point are you just flooding that market with crap?
And like, to add to that, I also think that Netflix are coming at this from the approach of, how do we get people to watch out? How do we get more people to stay logged into Netflix? Because once again, very similar to Game Pass, very similar to every service-based game, the answer is time. What they want from you is time. They want you. They want your attention all of the time. And that's the model here. So Netflix's approach is the exact same thing. And for me, I'm not saying that all game development or game developers are altruistic in the idea that they want to have these big creative endeavors, and they're like, oh, we do it just for the love of games. But I think at least with the Netflix idea, they're like, well, how do we get more money? How do we get more time? Like, I think their motivations behind it may not be the same that you would get from many game studios. Yeah. And as I said, like, well, the point I was trying to make before, and then my brain farted, was, it might take 4 years for them to make a game of substance. When you can film, edit, post-production, and then release a TV series or a movie in about 9 months, like, that is a massive increase in time compared to your current standard delivery, right? And then, of course, the financial investment that comes with that. Now, Netflix have said that they're going to invest like $17 billion into content creation over this, I think it was window of time. So there's not as if they don't have the cash, the bank to steamroll some of these things, but it just comes down to whether they're willing to invest all of that money in something that might have that is of a higher risk, that is the game space. Because if you look over at the likes of GameStop, right? Like, GameStop should understand games, right? They've been in gaming culture, gaming industry for the very, very long time. And we saw them have their stint at game development and game publishing, and it didn't go well for them at all. And then I think Amazon tried to get into it at one point as well, and that didn't really pay off either. We look over at Google Stadia, and they didn't do well either. Like, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be new people coming in, because a new competition has the ability to disrupt the entire system. And I love that idea, because we've said it here 1,000 times on the show, Max, competition is king, and that will shape the future. And I just don't think that Netflix is the platform to come in and fuck it up. You know what I'm saying?
Part of me thinks that it's almost of that, to put it similar, it's like when everyone jumped on the bandwagon of battle royale games. We're still getting them now, and they seem so dated and ill thought out and unprepared. I have a feeling that this is what this is going to be. It's going to be the unprepared, unthought out version of a gaming streaming service. And you look at, like you said, you look at Stadia's poor launch, which cost them almost everything. Yeah. Because you really do only get one shot at a first impression.
And to even add to that, because you did mention it, like the infrastructure isn't currently available. Even in some places in America, right, where their internet on average is better than the best that Australia has to offer, they are struggling with xCloud. They are struggling with PS Now. Apparently, Google Stadia is still probably one of the better ones, but even then, it's not fantastic, right? So it is instantly going to just fuck with people. Like, as you said, we will not be able to support a streaming only platform like that here in Australia. It's not possible currently.
That's it.
I love the idea of it, though. The idea is kind of cool.
Especially if it's going to be no added cost to what you're already paying for your Netflix subscription.
It's like, I'm not
which also baffles me that they think that they're going to be able to recoup their extra cost of game development inside what they're already making from there.
And to add to that as well, like, they have
that either means that means we're either already paying Netflix too much for the services that we're getting, which is probably more likely than not.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
But but the other thing is they're like, oh, we have 200. I'm using a big pulling number out of my ass here. We have 200 million Netflix subscribers. You know the potential people that can play that. Not that many, dude. Like my mum has fucking Netflix. She ain't playing a game if you put a game on there, right? You know what I mean? Like my wife's grandparents have Netflix. They ain't playing it, right? It's that idea. It's that same level of thought process. Of like, there are like 1 billion phones on the market. They all could play games, but they won't, man. Yeah, I mean, like that's the business look at this. And as I said, I can't help but separate. Once again, it is the games industry. It is a business, but I can't help but see the flagrant businessness in this decision.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. It's fine. But there's other things we can look forward to, Max, that might be exciting. So, mocap, motion capture. For those playing at home that may not be aware, Max. It has... Let's fucking accuse you of not knowing mocap is. It hasn't been announced or even teased yet, but we all know that a new Marvel Spider-Man is happening at some point. In fact, Insomniac Games could be working on it right now. Earlier this week, Miles Morales actor Naji Jetta posted a picture of himself on Instagram wearing a motion capture suit. The post was deleted soon after, but not before fans started a new wave of speculation over a Spoods sequel.
I mean, they're obviously working on
it. Oh, fuck yeah, they are. Yeah.
They're obviously working on it. Like, we do know that Insomniac are working on that we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about doing a multiplayer cooperative style game where I pitched the idea that you get to play as both Spider-Man and Miles Morales in a co-op Spider-Man game, which I still think would be really rad. Insomniac Games, please hit me up if you want some ideas.
Emails in the description below.
Emails in the description below. DM me. My DMs are open.
Slide into Max's DMs in Insomniac Games.
But yeah, it makes sense. Obviously, the fact that the post was deleted soon after is what sparked the fire of this rumor. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it could have just been an old photo, and he's just removed it because it's old." But no one posts a photo and then deletes it so quickly after, unless they did something they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, but once again, the internet never forgets. But no, I'm with you 100%. There is
someone's always there to see it and post it and repost it.
Yeah, I don't know how people just catch things before they get deleted. Like, it's amazing. But either way, like I'm with you. Like the Insomniac are 100% working on the next Spider-Man game. Pardon me, and like they obviously have enough motion capture data from the previous two games to build like the basic, fighting, like in terms of the basic moveset. Like the only reason they would need to bring someone in for mocap like this would be if they are doing those key story beats. Yeah, like those
cutscenes.
The cutscenes. I can think of the word cutscenes. But yes, like doing the whole cutscenes, and that is got me excited because that means this might be a lot further along than we originally anticipated. And looking at Insomniac and the incredible speed at which they've been releasing, if we look at the likes of Spider-Man, then Miles Morales, then Ratchet and Clank, like they have that multiple team structure just going bonkers right now. And this has me really excited because as we talked about it previously, like looking into the future of what the PS5 has to offer, there ain't a whole lot and it's not very exciting right now. But if, imagine in August, they're like, hey, Horizon's coming in March. Padge, it's not coming out this year, it's March. I'm confident. And then God of War in June. And then they go, oh, here's something that's coming out the back end of next year. Boom, Spider-Man 2. You see two spider webs, different hands, different colors, and swing on through, and it just says, Spider-Man 2, maybe like the hand, Spider-Man 2, doing the Spider-Man web thingy, and then 2022. What do you reckon?
Perhaps. Maybe. I think February for Horizon personally, but
yeah, February, March, around there somewhere.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Well, let's talk about games that are getting delayed.
Just like Horizon probably is, Mac. Just saying.
First up, we have Riders Republic. This was originally set to release much earlier this year, was pushed back to the 2nd of September, but Ubisoft made this announcement earlier this week. Quote, to ensure we can deliver the best game for all players, we have made the tough decision to delay our release date from the 2nd of September to the 28th of October. This will give us more time to fine-tune the experience and give you another chance to jump in before launch and provide even more feedback. So it sounds like there will be a second beta period before its launch on the 28th of October now. Next up, we have Rainbow Six Extraction. After its showing at E3 2021 last month, Ubisoft has made the decision to delay co-op spin-off Rainbow Six Extraction until January 2022, with a very similar quote of, we are embracing the opportunity to take additional time to bring this vision to life in the way it deserves in January of 2022. We are confident that this will ensure Rainbow Six Extraction is the immersive, cooperative, and thrilling experience we set out to create, and one that you will aspire to play. Next up, we have Resident Evil Reverse. Was due to launch this month. The multiplayer companion to Resident Evil Village has now been pushed to 2022.
Correction, it was meant to release alongside Resident Evil Village.
But was pushed to, yeah. So, at RE Games on Twitter shared the post, quote, the previously announced July 2021 launch of Resident Evil Reverse is being moved to 2022 so that the team can continue working to deliver a smooth gameplay experience. We will share updated launch details at a later time. Thank you for your patience and your understanding. And lastly, we have Ghostwire Tokyo. Developer Tango Gameworks has taken to Twitter to announce the delay of their upcoming title. Originally set to release in October this year, they have pushed it back to, quote, early 2022. We've made the decision to delay the launch of Ghostwire Tokyo to early 2022. We want to get the game in your hands as soon as possible so you can experience the unforgettable version of a haunted Tokyo that we've been hard at work building. At the same time, we're also focused on protecting the health of everyone at Tango Studios. Our new release window will give us time to bring the world of Ghostwire to life as we've always envisioned it. Thank you for being patient as we work to bring you an experience unlike anything else we've ever made. We can't wait to show you more in the coming months. 4 games on the chopping block, all due out at the end of this year, all pushed further back.
Look, well, I'm happy because there was a window of time where I'm getting really kind of worried about the back end of this year. I'm like, it's going to be jacked. It's going to be so full. Like, how much time do we have, Max? Do we have enough time to play all these things? Turns out the answer is yes, because we'll just move that claustrophobia until 2022 by looks. Look, Ghostwire Tokyo is probably the one that made the most sense to me. It didn't really...
It hasn't been shown in ages.
It hasn't been shown.
Super quiet.
They've been so quiet. They lost the creative director at some point, which leads me to believe that there at least was some minor turmoil backstage. Because the creative director didn't leave because she was at the end of her time with the company in terms of, hey, this is about to release. Like, I as the writer, if she was a writer, would be, my part of my job is done. The creative director is needed until the end of the run, right? So it's not as if she's like, oh, well, I've done all the things I can do, so yeah. Like, it just leads me to worry, like, well, what is happening with this game? Because I honestly, the footage that we saw previously didn't do it for me at all. I don't remember. Did it do it for you? I don't remember. You damn.
It looked interesting enough to me. And obviously being is this another timed exclusive for PlayStation?
Yes. Yes,
it obviously one that we would want to check out anyway. It looked alright, but it was confusing from memory.
Yeah, it was like first person. I remember seeing some weird, like, supernatural things coming out of hands and stuff, which is a bit weird. Notice the other 3 are very heavily multiplayer focused.
Yeah,
which I do believe is probably playing a role. So I did play the beta for Reverse, and the game was fucking rough, man. So it makes complete sense why it's been delayed again and again and again. However, I can't help but wonder whether the game's going to be more dead than the black dude at the start of Resident Evil 2. It seemed like so strong, and then he just kept death rattling his way through that game, and then he was dead. So I'm not feeling very hopeful for Reverse, because even the idea itself seemed rather like derivative and shit. Because like
it was a hero shooter.
Yeah,
in the Resident Evil verse.
Hero shooter using the last 20 years of Resident Evil history, with a weird comics-esque filter over the top. So not like made with that design in mind. They literally place a filter over the game to make it have that aesthetic, which is unnecessary. And it kind of was a dumb game. Like Rainbow Six Extraction, I think I'm probably okay with this one, because I know this one's been delayed like on and off for a while. I think previously it was because of the whole Rainbow Six Quarantine, and then they had to sort of rename it and rebrand it. But even then, with off the back of Siege having a relatively rough launch when it launch window, I think there is a bit of pressure for them to keep up to the standard of what Siege is now, because even though this is PvE, where Siege is PvP, when you're releasing something alongside, which this is, because it's using a lot of the same operators, you don't want people to go, "Oh, this is rough. I'll just play Siege."
Yeah.
That is the fear, and so you want to make sure this is as mint as it possibly can be. Riders Republic, I believe, has that same pressure as well. Steep was not very good. It wasn't very well received. And when this is essentially a soft reboot / continuance of Steep, this needs to land.
Yeah.
And it cannot be janky. What about you, Max? What's your thoughts on these delays?
Most of them, like you said, very unsurprising. Like we mentioned, Ghostwire, Tango had not said anything about this for quite some time. Riders Republic getting pushed by, what is it, a month? Yeah. Is really not that bad. It does allow them to put in an extra beta period. It does allow them to get that last minute feedback from the people who want to play this game and make sure that they're happy before launch. Super makes sense. Same with what you very, very much mirroring what you said with Rainbow Six Extraction. You want them to play that game for that and not be like, well, we're just going to go play over here and play the PvP content. Yeah. They obviously want it to mix. I also got to play the Resident Evil Reverse, and it was rough.
It is not good.
It was rough. So it's very unsurprising that they're taking extra time to get that in order.
Yeah. Because it is very important, right? Because like that perception is key. Perception becomes reality, especially in the gaming space. So if a game perceives to be rough, they're like, "Oof, we're not going to check it out." So, and that perception can also come across in naming conventions, Max. So I've spoken the last 2 weeks about my dislike of the term director's cut when it came to Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding in the upcoming essential re-releases and expansions, right? So, understandably, Kojima himself has come out and mentioned it. So with Kojima having free reign on Death Stranding, as I alluded to, what was cut that would want to put back into the game in order to have the title of the director's cut? Well, it turns out that no content was cut, but instead this director's cut is extra content. And Kojima himself has a few remarks on the use of the movie-based term. The auteur has taken to Twitter to explain his stance, and the posts make for some interesting commentary. He writes, "A director's cut in a movie is an additional edit to a shortened version that was either released reluctantly because the director did not have the right to edit it, or because the running time had to be shortened. In the game, it is not what was cut, but what was additionally produced that was included. Delectors plus, possibly a translation error. So, in my opinion, I don't like to call directors cut." I am so happy to hear that he has the same path, because to me, as I said last week and the week before, Kojima was given free fucking reign. There was no part of Sony that were like, can you not do that? And then, to a director's cut implies that this is the director's vision. This is the version that they wanted. Now, I understand they're trying to humanize it as well, because, game directors are for a while have becoming the figureheads of companies. We look at Herman Hulst when he was at Guerrilla. We look at Kojima. We look at Cory Barlog for Sony Monica, Neil Druckmann for Naughty Dog. Like Sony are trying to leverage that branding of the face of this development studio. And Director's Cut seems to be down like that similar path. So I understand why they're doing it, but I see there's no harm in calling it an extended cut. Game of the Year edition, that is a played out as fuck term. Extended edition, if they want that movie feel, that's how you get it. We said that last week. Yeah. Max, are you happy to hear that Kojima's too shitty with this terminology?
Yeah, it does make sense, and it's nice to know that it wasn't his idea to call it the director's cut.
Yeah, which also makes me wonder, like, did he just get an email saying we're calling it's Death Stranding director's cut? Like, how did that conversation go? Might I add? Like, I wonder.
Who knows? We'll probably never know how that conversation went.
Yeah.
Things that we also may never know how they went. The Abandon app. So Abandon's bizarre and often delayed real-time trailer app has been renamed the Real-Time Experience app ahead of its purported 29th of July preload date on the PlayStation 5. The client will allegedly play host to, quote, multiple trailers when available between 5 to 12 minutes, as well as gameplay demonstrations and future live events. Following this, an introduction will be added to the application on the 10th of August, and the first proper trailer will arrive later that month.
It is. We've speculated on here before, and the likes of Paul James Games, Twitter, player2.net.au. We in our little group chat, it has been said, like, this is a PlayStation Experience app. The idea of, like, what if this is the PlayStation Experience app? And I don't know about you, it's suddenly becoming that, innit?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they've heard.
I'm not willing to give him the point for it yet, but it does look.
All I'm saying is that someone has heard Paul, and someone's gone, maybe that's a really good idea, and they're running with it.
Maybe.
And because other than that, Blue Box Studios, shut the fuck up. Just shut up. You are only, like, if you are not Kojima, you are making this so much worse for you, because it's like, it's this. Either that, right? There's two ways. This could go, Max. Two ways. Because I'm having shooting beautiful ADHD thoughts, right? My brain's going ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
So, what if, Max, originally this was an app just for an overpromised independent studios game, like Abandoned, not Kojima. Let's go that direction. It's not Kojima. It's actually a small studio that really oversold what they could deliver. And then so much that they're like, this is damage control. Well, we cannot have.
I would argue that this is definitely not damage control, but sure.
I'm saying they're like, well, we can't just have this one app for this one game that everyone is going to be so fucking mad about when it comes out and it's not Kojima. So what if we rebrand the app? What if we reuse it? And let's pivot. Let's pivot the app idea to take it away just from this one shitty studio that's going to really disappoint everyone. Or we make it a whole new experience and we can bury Abandoned in other cool things in the future.
Is your other point, what if it comes out and Abandoned's like this absolute banger?
Yeah.
And they just, they ride it to the moon.
Yeah, that's too, yeah, it's like... Because, like, look, what happens if this August showcase, right? Because when's the preload for this? 29th of July. When is it going live?
2 weeks.
On the 10th of August, right? What if on the 10th of August they say, hey, the next PlayStation showcase in this app?
I don't know. I think this doesn't end well for Blue Box.
No.
Anyway, in any way, I have a feeling that it either isn't Kojima and people are pissed, or it is Kojima and people still gonna be pissed. That's how I say it. I'm seeing this as this is gonna just end poorly for them no matter what. And like, I know everyone always says, any publicity is good no. I don't believe that for
No, there is bad publicity, and this game is a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for them. I hope it all works out for them. I really do, but it's rough. It's going to be a rough ride between, when did I say, the 29th of July and August 10th. There's going to be so much more build up and hype than this thing can possibly contain.
Look, I have really enjoyed watching what looked like a dumpster under a tarpaulin with smoke coming out of it. I'm like, is that a dumpster on fire? And everyone's like, no, it's not a dumpster on fire just yet. It's Schrodinger's dumpster on fire. Is it a dumpster or is it not? And I'm like, I'm pretty confident that's a fucking dumpster. And until they remove that tarpaulin... But like you said, on 10th of August, if they come out and be like, well, state of play inside this app, or they drop a God of War trailer inside it. Because no one knows what this is actually for. Yeah, they're like, because all this for just one game seems a little bit... A game from a studio that no one's ever fucking heard of, right? So, like, none of it checks out. So, if the idea of, like, hey, on the 10th of August, this app goes live, you can pre-download it now, and then on the 13th... What was the... Because there was the rumor mill, it was the 13th, was it not? It was supposed to already be out. This app was supposed to already be live. No, but I mean, like, the rumor mill right now about this new upcoming PlayStation showcase is around I think 13th. It was mid-August. Yeah, 13th to the 17th of August, right? So if they're like, the app's live there now, you get the abandoned, or you get nothing, and the app's live. Or... I think it's ballsy to release the app, or to preload the app so early, because I wonder what data miners will be able to find from it. That is a concern, and I do wonder that as well. Like whether there is any backend, or they can they come out, they look through the code, and it's just like Kojima is here written. It's just not Kojima in code. Look, I said, I like, this is the one thing. So as I said before, I'm very, very cynical about everything in the future and all the things. But this is the one thing that has me intrigued in the weirdest way. And because once again, if it turns out that it is a dumpster fire under that tarpaulin, I'm pretty excited for that outcome, because I need to see what they do. Like, pretty excited. Like what happens, like when they remove that tarpaulin and that dumpster starts rolling down that hill and just gaining speed. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see where this ends. And if they remove the tarpaulin, it's Kojima smoking with a cigarette like fucking Solid Snake would, and that's the smoke under this. Actually, no, I'm gonna rechange that analogy. They take off the tarpaulin and it's a cardboard box, and inside that cardboard box, just like Solid Snake, is Kojima, and he's also having a cigarette, just like Solid Snake. I'll be like, damn, I'm so happy that you removed that tarpaulin. That was amazing, right? Yeah. That either way, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Either we get to watch an actual car crash or something really cool. Best case scenarios all around. Oh, I get to do QUICKBITS again this week. Fuck yeah. All right, QUICKBITS, Max. No Clip, a crowdfunded production company with Daniel Dwyer that makes incredible video game documentaries, has just released a Demon Souls doco. Have you checked it out? It may be what I'm doing tonight. Ooh. It's like just over an hour long and it looks awesome. Yeah. It's on YouTube. Ooh, yeah, for free on YouTube. Yeah. Persona 5's 25th anniversary teases 7 new projects, with the first announcement this September. That might be exciting for you, Max. For me, I will reiterate what that beautiful gentleman on the first live show of AEW did in the crowd with a giant sign that says Persona 5 sucks. So shout out to that guy, whoever you are. Shout out to that guy. You are my hero. EA Play Live will kick off Friday the 23rd of July at 3 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And Christopher Judge, best known as Teal'c in Stargate, or the voice of Kratos in the God of War 2018 reboot, will be the voice of Black Panther in the upcoming Marvel's Avengers content. Boy. That's some pretty good shit. I like Christopher Judge. Yeah. I'm happy with that. Yeah. Like, granted, he's not gonna be as good as the MCU Chadwick Boseman, but I'll allow it. Because it's up to me, apparently. Yeah. Here are the top 10 best-selling PlayStation 4 games with the week ending the 11th of July. Number 10, we have Red Dead Redemption 2. It still feels fucking weird doing this. Number 9, we have Ratchet & Clank.
2016's Ratchet and Clank. Number 8, we have God of War. Number 7, GT Sports. Number 6, UFC 4. Number 5, The Last of Us Remastered. Number 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Number 3, NBA 2K21. Number 2, FIFA 21. And number 1, for the millionth time, we have Grand Theft Auto 5. There must be a sale on again.
I still don't know how they're doing it. Who hasn't got a copy of it? Like, the only way that this gets come back to is when people get banned, so they just rebuy it at a sale. The only way it makes sense. Oh, beautiful. Oh, we have upcoming titles this week, Max.
Yes.
How did you do it? What did you use?
Well, we used the Discord that
Excited Kumquat.
that Excited Kumquat linked us to.
Man, Kumquat, come on.
I totally remembered it was there this time and actually did something with it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, Kumquat coming through with the goods again. You know, they reached out to the last week saying, "Oh, thanks for the shout out." I'm like, dude, you solved our problem. You get the you get 2 weeks worth of shout outs now. Also, speaking of shout outs, what the fuck's Puck? God damn. Okay, here are the upcoming releases. Akiba's Trip, Hellbound and Debriefed, 20th of July coming to the PS4. Chris Tales coming on the 20th of July to both PS4 and PS5. That one looks interesting. I know you've had some interest in that bad boy.
Yep.
Katone Reboot, 20th of July on the PS4. My kind of game, Monster Harvest, 20th July on PS4. It's a farming game with Pokemon-esque collecting. You have your little creatures and you do farming. Yeah!
Jeez.
Last Stop on the 22nd July for the PS4 and the PS5. Urban Trial Tricky DE on the 22nd of July on PS4. And Orcs Must Die 3 on the 23rd of July on the PS4. So Monster Harvest is my request. It's my recommendation for the week. I did request a code for that yonks ago because it has been delayed a couple of times. But keen as mustard for that one. So hopefully next week you'll hear Max's thoughts on Chris Tales. You hear my thoughts on Monster Harvest. I'm actually a little excited because I was apart from the Red Dead, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll play Red Dead. I haven't had a lot of like excitement to like really play something. Like I booted up the PS5 before and went, but Monster Harvest though.
Are you going to see after your stream of Plague Tale? Are you going to see it through?
Oh, well, I wanted to go back and continue streaming it. So the reason I haven't played it again is because I wanted to keep playing it on stream. But because I just don't give a fuck about streaming games at the moment, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I may have to keep playing it offline. I should stream it, but I'm also not wanting to. So there's
I know that feeling.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this week's episode of For the Players, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast. We do really appreciate you all spending your time with us for like the 210th-ish time. It's bonkers. I still love that we get to do this each and every week. And I say that every time, but I do. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to download it. We didn't do a Get Less Fat update. Max, how was your Get Less Fat update?
You're frozen on me, and I can't hear you.
Cool. Max froze on for me too. So before we end the show, we forgot to do this earlier. During 2020, I lost over 35 kilos using a product called the Man Shake. It's a meal replacement shake that I'm an ambassador for. And so each and every week, Max and I do a Get Less Fat update. We talk about our week as we share our weight loss journeys. Max is frozen, so I'll just keep talking about myself until he gets back. Oh, he's back.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're back.
Or am
now.
I just sitting perfectly still?
Both. So in terms of our Get Less Fat update, Max, how have you gone this week?
I'm at 16.5 kilos lost since January.
Damn.
So I've lost about half a kilo this week. I've been pretty slack lately, I must admit. My eating habits have been less than ideal, but because I'm working a lot more, I'm getting a lot more passive exercise, or what I refer to as passive exercise, by just walking around at work. You know, I'm now clocking, instead of my usual 10,000 steps a day, I'm clocking closer to 20k steps a day.
Nice.
So just that in itself has helped a lot, which is good.
Yeah, nice. So I myself, once again, I get committed. I'm like, yes, all right, let's go to the gym. So this week, I did return to the gym in full capacity rather than just going and doing my cardio. I have because I'm continuing doing the My Muscle Chef meals. My shipment arrived this morning in the cover of darkness. So I got my next week's worth of meals, which is handy because lockdown, people fucking savage the supermarket.
It's not that bad this time.
Oh,
I think
good.
I think Victorians are so used to lockdown, they're just like, we know that there's going to be food.
Like, we still have toilet rolls from last time. It's fine.
Oh, we bought toilet paper today, and there was
good.
there was toilet paper everywhere. It was great.
Yeah.
No one's panic buying here anymore.
That's good.
Which is really good.
So I've got my meal set out for that, so I'll keep doing that. But I did actually return to weights again this week, and I've spent the better part of this week with sore titties, which is good, which is fine. And then so I really enjoyed going back to. I did miss that endorphin rush you get from doing weights. And then, of course, I straight up jinxed it, and then we had lockdown. So
COVID reared its ugly head.
Yeah, because every time I try to recommit to the gym again, like, the lockdown has fucked me. Again. It's frustrating. Like, I'm vaccinated. Let me go to the gym. You fucks.
So what you need now is a home gym.
Well, I have an exercise bike here. It's just not enough. But I don't want, like, the amount that I pay for the gym.
Bench press your son. I don't know.
I've tried that actually. He doesn't sit still. He's a prick. I just lay still while I bench press. He's like, "Yeah, it's very hard, Dad." I'm like, "Shut up."
You're gonna plank while I bench press you.
That's it. But if you want to support us on our weight loss journey, or maybe even start your own, there is a link in the description. It is bit.ly/FTP Manshake. Just by clicking on that link, you help support us. You don't even have to buy anything. Just go over there, check out what the Manshake has to offer. Maybe you can also change your life, just like Max and I are. That does bring us down to the show, Max. Send us home.
Well, everyone, this PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, come and check out our socials. Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join us as the conversation happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures, where you can watch us record this show live. You can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are on podcast services, give it a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as our merchandise store, popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. But until next week, hopefully back in person. Also very unlikely. I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And that was Lockdown the 5th, and also For the Players.